Yes.
Good morning, or indeed good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glenn Adamson. I am the host of Design in Dialogue, which is presented in collaboration with Friedman Benda. We have the great pleasure today of welcoming to the program gt2P, Great Things to People, the Chilean design collective. Just a few housekeeping announcements to begin with. First of all, those of you who are joining us live are muted to ensure audio quality. If you are watching us live, please go ahead and tell us where you are zooming in from. We always love to see that, where our audience is. And also just put questions for gt2P in the chat box as we speak, and then we will get to them at the end, the last 10 minutes or so of the conversation. And of course, the interview, as always, will be posted live after the fact, so you can always watch it again later, send it to your friends, and study up on the wonderful, magical world that is gt2P. Hi guys, welcome to the program. You're all in from Santiago in Chile.
Yes.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi,
Thank
Glenn.
you for having us here.
So we
It's a
have
pleasure.
Guillermo, Tamara, Sebastian, and Victor. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you on the program. Of course, you have a long and happy relationship with Friedman Benda, and we'll be looking at some of the exhibitions you've done at the gallery over the years, and also a fantastic and exciting new commission called Conscious Actions, which is just completed this week for Design District in Miami. So we'll be looking at that at the end. Before we start looking at images, I just was wondering if you could each introduce yourselves and say a little bit about what your role in the studio is.
Hello, my name is Tamara. I am architect and the craft maker at the studio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Victor Imperiale. I'm trained as an architect as well, and I run the computational design area at the studio.
Number crunching.
kind of, yes.
Okay.
I am Sebastián Rosas. I'm an architect too. I used to share the creative work with my partners, and what I really like to work in is prototyping in any kind of digital fabrication process.
Okay, great. And Guillermo.
I'm Guillermo. I am the creative director of the studio, and I like to work very transversal in all the duties of the studio. So yes, I also am trained as an architect.
Yeah, okay. And frequently the spokesman for the group as well. And you're going, in that capacity, you're going to be bringing us through an amazing series of images. We have over 100 images of the studio's work to look at. So let's go ahead and get started. Guillermo, if you want to share your screen. And what we're going to do is try to get through the history of the studio, which is a short history, relatively speaking, but an intense one, and also talk about some of the key ideas that have guided your work, starting with this idea of para-crafting. So Guillermo, take it away.
Thank you. Well, you are seeing a picture of 4 partners, but we look like but we work like the drawing. We're more like that. So here I would like to show you some pictures of our studio. We are in a mid-century house built by Miguel Launer, architect, a very an hero of us. We have some tools like a 3D printer designed by ourselves in collaboration with an engineer. And here we can see some tools and our lava lab, for example. Here's where we melt the volcanic rock in our studio. Basically, it's a ceramic studio. We have a kiln, we have some pottery wheels, we have a roller slab, some extruders, and other kind of interesting tools. Here is also our natural laboratory. Basically, it's the mountain range, Andes Mountains range. So here is where we source the material. And one is from the Volcano Sorno, and the other one on your right is the Laguna del Maule complex, the volcanic complex, is like our Yellowstone, but it's in very high volcano. So here we can find obsidians. Well, so in honor to this one, we did the first thing you will see when you come to Chile. So this is a wall mural we did for our airport. Maybe Victor can explain this a bit.
Yeah, well, we wanted to start with this project because it's the first thing you will see when you came to visit us here in Chile. And this is a wall mural in copper, and it's reconstruction of the Andes mountain range, right? And the reconstruction is with the sound of a poem of a very known poet in Chile, Nicanor Parra. And the poem is The Imaginary Man. So it connects with the series of the wall mural, is Imaginary Geographies. So we reconstruct that sound with a sequence of numbers, and we get this mountain range reconstructed with the sound.
A way to say welcome.
But just to be clear, what you're using here is the actual shape of the sound waves.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
The air.
We translate the sound into numbers, and the numbers then instruct to curves and to geometry.
Right.
And those curves also works for the cutting files and the CNC files for make the project.
And we also see here a theme that will come up over and over again, which is that you're using a modular element that has a unique application of the process applied to it. So each of the copper strips is the same, but it has a different shape applied to it. So it's kind of like a mass customization strategy.
Exactly. Actually, that is one of the most important thing here in parametric design, I think. I will show you this very quick video. This one was of our first pieces we did. It's called Suple. Basically, we stole an idea of Jean Prouvé regarding the continuity of the things, and we see that idea in the branch in the nodes of the trees. So why to design one if we can design the rule that builds all those kind of nodes? Sorry. So excuse me. So here you see basically the interface. This interface is Grasshopper, of course, and these are the parameters that manage the shape. So this has two functions. One is to control the shape, but also diminish the time you use for drawings, for example. So here you can spend more time in designing more than documentation. And there is the most important part for us is if you vary if you modify the variables and you cross that with a function, is where the parametric power appears, because you can create a family of things more than creating just one object. That is the powerful thing. For example, if you cross it with a joint for a table or just simple and structure. But here's the important thing, to create a family of things.
Right. So this is the idea of parametric crafting or power.
Yeah. No, I think it's the general. It's the general term. I think it's the global one. So here, for example, for our show, we create this oversized bench very intentionally. You will see further in the presentation. So, for example, here we wanted to say that we can mix our traditional heritage related to the more modern industry, related to standard production with mass customization. So we don't have to rebuild everything. We have to join both worlds. Of course, stand over the nature. And appear, for example, a light system And what if we connect spaces instead of axes and appear this another series? But here we can see that we are showing a kind of expression of the computer, and it's totally produced by a CNC, and then it's totally handcrafted. So there is a kind of mix, right?
Yeah, I just want to underline something you just said, Guillermo, which is because it's very telling about the way you work, that what you did was substitute the axis that occurred in the souffle, like the bench that we just saw in the light, and you substitute for that axis the volume, this open space. So you're just substituting another variable into the same kind of logic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's correct.
So that again, with one rule of design, we can create a family of things. So that is why it's so also super important for us to work with commissions, because with the desires of the clients or the appear a new object. So it's super beautiful to have that combination. Desires from other guy to have a special piece, for example. And here is the series that commented previously, Victor, is related to imaginary geographies. So here we can visualize exactly the, how can I say, the expression of the sound in the computer on these surfaces. So for the production of this, this table, we use a very tool, very fine finishing tool to recreate exactly the interpretation of the sound in the computer, right? So this is a kind of geography where it's beautiful visually as well, because it has many layers to see, many visions. From this view, you can see a kind of sculpture, but when you go close, you have some memories from our landscape. Right, but to reproduce that memory, basically we use a very fine tool to recreate those hills, for example. But what if we increase the size of the tool that create this object? It happened this one. It happened this. Because and here we are trying to make a transition between the computer to the expression of the production process. So here you can see the tool that is carving the wood. You can see the ways that how the tool carved the wood. So in all the intersection path is the beautiness of this piece.
So there we have another situation where you changed one variable, in this case, the size of the tool head, and you got a very different expression, very different aesthetic expression.
Yeah, but managing by the sound. So it's great to have two different expressions, just changing a variable. But I like the idea that here the shape is more related to the result of the taking advantage of the expression of the machine, more than what exactly we want in our brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it expresses almost the character of the carving tool.
Yeah. So here we go out totally from the computer. So in this project, we were doing Losing My America. That was a series of iconical pieces we did with artisans. And we asked ourselves how we can explain to anyone, even to people who don't know nothing about the computers, what is parametric design. So we designed this device. But basically, it's a numbered frame numbered, where we hang a cloth. Here we can see a video. I will go. So there are some these anchor points that have the possibility to record the coordinates. So basically we hang a fabric, and we pour, when the fabric is located, we pour porcelain in that fabric, right? So here is where we can adjust the shape. So when we adjust the shape, there is a period of time that the porcelain stopped, passed through the fabric, and we have to remove the excedent with the syringe. So when we remove that, all the thing attached basically is the final piece.
Mm.
So I think this project gives us a new scope in the studio in that period of time that is more parametric and less digital.
Yeah.
Or more parametric hippie.
Parametric hippie, yeah. So what you're doing effectively is taking the logic of an algorithm and that mathematical logic of the parametric design, and you're taking it out of the digital space and into physical space. So you're showing people what algorithmic systems look like in an entirely material realm, which is so innovative and so fascinating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the good thing is that this born because we want to explain something to someone. But that is beautiful. And here you can see the expression of the fabric, all the texture of the fabric. You can see how many times was layered or filled with the slip. And in those pieces we add colors, for example, for amplify that expression. Mm. So we realized that we can take an advantage the translucency of the porcelain and show and amplify that expression. So we create this kind of lightings that also were part of our exhibition. And if you can see, there is a little dot in the middle. So that little dot is super important because one day at the studio, we had a lot of volcanic stones that a client gave us doing a job. Of course, Victor is from the volcanic zone. He was born there. And basically our guess, it was, what if we put a little chunk of volcanic stone over a porcelain? Because the temperatures are almost the same. Mm. So it happened. So when we put the little chunk over the porcelain, it gets melted and attached because of the cooling process.
So and it works. The volcanic stone melts in the kiln as the porcelain is being fired, and they fuse together into one.
Exactly. Exactly. And we create this kind of lights. This is super important for us. And then we ask ourselves why we don't make an entire project with lava. Just because we know this is, so you can explain the epiphany moment.
Yeah.
So when we had some little porcelain pieces at the studio, and somebody, I don't know who in the studio, put some little rocks over the base and then put it into the oven. And when you take it out, the rock piece was totally melted and attached to the porcelain. And we said, whoa.
No, but I mean,
the new material has burned.
No, I mean the epiphany moment in general, when you the moment of happy.
Okay. As Guillermo said, when we started the studio, we were very focused on digital design, and with the time, we start to think that what we really wanted was to make the things real, materialize their ideas. And maybe that's the most happiest moment that we used to have, is when an idea become real. And when you think that maybe the rock can be attached to porcelain, you have a kind of a eureka moment. And we live for that moment. So if we are doing a big architectural piece and we make the prototype and we can see that it works,
it's a happiness.
It's a full happiness.
It's also a good definition of what design can look like in the 21st century, the materialization of digital possibilities, because we have all these new tools, but so often they stay on our screens, and you're bringing them out into real life where we can actually experience them. So it's an epiphany for all of us, not just you.
Okay, so in the left of your screen, you can see solid pieces, solid process, and in the right one, you can see coding pieces. we can coat any kind of refractory materials like stoneware, ceramics, porcelain, refractory concrete, among others. So here's where we source the material, a beautiful one, but there is an important thing in this image, because all the force of the volcano reveals the entire geography, but we wanted to keep the shape, the thing we wanted to cover. So it's a kind of how we can control that thing, and the process of coding things works perfect for that. So we can have that expression, rough expression, but in a totally controlled shape. So, for example, these kind of tools were super, how can I say, experimental. Is a curve, is a revolution curve, and that curve allow us to test exactly, to test what kind of slopes work better for the lava, right? And I would like to see some videos.
So you're talking about the actual profile of the object, the curve.
Exactly.
Exterior.
That is the way we collect the rocks, and we grind them in different sizes. And in that case, we mix with a kind of melasa
or
honey. And that is the way we touch in a structure, stoneware structure.
So you're using the molasses or the honey as a binder, and that will fire away when you actually put the piece in the kiln.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So they are the hands of the real maker at the studio.
Yeah.
So and here in the kiln is where the magic happened, I think.
Yes, with the different curves, we control the different shapes, the texture, and that is the idea. Rough or smooth or dripped ones. Yeah.
So just to explain, as I understand it, when you say different curves, what you mean is different firing curves. So different increases of temperature over time. And what that gives you is a different expression of the surface.
Color and different textures.
Right. So it's another application of parametric crafting, in fact. So like the sort of material porcelain printer using the catenary hanging cloth, you have a set of mathematical curves that you're applying to the creation of the object. But here it's temperature over time is the curvature rather than gravity. So we can see how different variables are being used to generate different kinds of objects and different kinds of materials. I hope that's clear to the audience. It's extremely brilliant. So I hope everybody understands it, because you can see how the same logic is being shifted into totally different terrains of process and making.
Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you. Yeah.
So here you can see different textures, very rough but actually we realized that inside the kiln, when we, how can I say, we diminish the amount of oxygen enter in the kiln. Of course, this is a very typical thing for a ceramist. We can get the oxidums outside, because and appear this kind of color.
Basically a reduction firing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically all the amount of this project, we create our first exhibition at Friedman Benda, and it was called Manufactured Landscapes. It was I think it was a very clever name, but it was an idea of a friend called Federico Duarte, who wrote a brilliant piece for Diseño, and we stole that title for our exhibition. So it's a way to say thank you to Fede as well. So basically we connect our landscape with the pieces we created for the exhibition, and in order to recreate a kind of manufactured landscape at the gallery. So maybe Glenn, you are more descriptive than us for the exhibition, and you know better than us. Actually, you wrote the essay.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And having all of these objects together, I think it also made clear how important the landscape is for you, the landscape of Chile. This idea of a manufactured landscape, taking that outside world and bringing it inside and into the objects, capturing it in the objects. So you really thought of the mountains and the rivers of Chile when walking through the show, different scales.
And we love the idea of, in some pieces, to have, how can I say, non-determinated objects that you can use as you want. For example, that one can be a coffee table, but also can be a bench for using in an open space, or the totem on the back. It can be beautiful, use it for an entrance of a house, or if you put many of these stools, you can create a kind of interior garden, and not necessarily going to outside, but also can be go outside. So that is why we like to create this kind of how can I say, that the people can adapt the use of the things for their own requirement, or make special pieces, basically. So here you are seeing a big bench. So it's a bit overscale for the exhibition, but it has a goal under that idea, because we really want to also, as we want to be part of the collector houses, we also want to be part of the public space. So we reached the objective, the goal.
We started with a public contest.
Yeah,
yes.
Actually, the first project was a public contest. So we love to be part of the public space. So here is an image of our bench at the Design Museum Gardens. So it's not it's for to be used. So that is one thing we love in this project.
Yeah. So this is the Design Museum London, just to be clear. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Big thing.
We'll get back to the use of public space at the end because of the new Miami project. But could you say a little bit more about what it is that attracts you to the idea of working in public environments? Is it about meeting the audience halfway and getting around the question of a kind of elite marketplace, or what is it that attracts you so much to the public context?
There is an idea. First, there is an idea that we like to reach a big audience, without compromising the quality of our things. So that is one big issue, because here in Chile, many people ask us why you don't create mass production things. We can, but it's not our interest now. So our way to get to a massive audience is this kind of projects. So yeah, that is one of questions. Anyone wants to say something different? I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong, but I feel we have some kind of, en español sería como una vocación for the public space, because we're architects too, and the name of our studio, it's regarding to the same issue.
Yeah,
Bring things to people. We would like to make things that too many people can use and enjoy.
Yeah. So it's yeah, our colleague Mario Ballesteros said it's a calling. Okay.
A calling for the public space.
Yeah. So
Mario.
But it allows you to retain the experimentalism while also achieving that kind of breadth of audience, which mass production doesn't necessarily allow for.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But probably we will enter in a new area that could be.
Okay.
Who knows?
Who knows?
So here we are going to get an approach to the projects we designed for our solo exhibition at Basel, but we did that solo, it didn't happen because of the COVID. Yeah. Everyone knows. So just wanted to share these projects. Basically, Monolita series is also related to the coating technique. But here we wanted to take in advantage the tools we had at the studio and try to make a very, how can I say, conservative way to make ceramics in order to keep the exactly same the same section in the entire piece. Because as many can know, maybe you open the kiln and it's a mess. So here we wanted to reduce that idea, and we had an extruder, we have a pottery wheel, we have our hands, and we have roller slab. What we can do and appear this object. We did some like this one, and all of those names are related to the thickness of the piece, of the thickness section in the piece. So this is a kind of dream, of course. Try to go modular and try to build architectural objects with this technique. I think this project it's a bit slow project. It's it's super slow project because it requires a lot of time to get dry, to make all the hand works. It's a very laborious project, but at the end it deserves every piece get a good expression. This piece is already on exhibition at Good Had Been at the gallery now.
Yes, the current show at the Friedman Benda, what would have been, which is, just to explain, that's a survey of the year's activity in the worlds of the various designers working with the gallery, but a lot of projects have been interrupted, like your presentation at Basel. So the gallery has tried to tell those stories all at once. Fascinating project. And we see here the incredible subtlety and seductiveness of the surface of the lava once it's been transformed into this glaze.
And here you can see another effect. Basically, this is another temperature curve, and as you can see here, they are dry in these images. We create by hand all these kind of drips. So those drips, when they get melt, acquire this texture. So here's another project we are working on related to self-organization of the material, and I hope this ran good. So basically here, this experiment is based on a free auto study for their ceilings, for his ceilings, where he put sand in a cylindrum, but he just put 2 holes. And we realized that he's putting 2 holes, let's put more. With that, we realized that we are recreating the algorithm, the Voronoi algorithm, the typical one that everyone uses, but here in a very direct way. So here we are not representing nothing. Here we are just we are representing itself the project. So one thing I like here is the representation is not anymore. Here is just the material itself. So all the grains get very, how can I say, in equilibrium because of the gravity. They are in a 35 slope, so they are super stable. And we move carefully inside the kiln, and we become them in stone again. So this is super important because we have to find the other temperature curve in order to sinter the grains, not melt, because if we melt them, basically we lose the shape. We want to keep exactly that shape. And this can have very good applications. But for now, we are using actually the negative for creating mirrors. The material that passed through the holes is this. It's the negative of the other one.
Right.
So
using it as a mold to cast other shapes, so you're getting the reverse of that shape. So it's concave, not convex.
But it's not. We don't cast anything. We don't use molds. It's just because they are in equilibrium. That is the good thing. There's no molds required. So here is another project we are working on. If we can extrude the material, we can make 3D printing, basically. And this started here, Seba.
This is an older model we made in a very bad machine we bought perhaps 10 years ago. That 3D printer never print fine. But we realized that when it was printing very bad, we have a kind of expression by its own. And we said, maybe if we remove from our mind the idea that the 3D printer gives us a perfect shape, it can be talking by itself with its own expression. And we saw how gravity started to create that texture. So we said, why don't we increase that? And we put a kind of virus in the code in order to disorder more the code of the machine. And then we found this kind of results that we call dysgraphia. That is a kind of sickness in which if you want to write something, the sickness makes you write it very bad. And that's why the project has its name. And then it helped us to study how to create our own way to print. And we could hack the machine, we could create our own Grasshopper files to print anything. And that's the knowledge that has stayed in the studio. And with that idea, we print something like this, the dysgraphia man, or somebody who has a mind in a big disorder. This kind of catenary potteries, because we can also, with the noise, get this kind of textures. And the idea behind is that maybe the 3D printed process has its own expression, and maybe we can push in that direction, mixing what digitally you think with the gravity and the material and the nature.
So here we started experimenting that. Actually, we never published the previous one. It was published, but in a very academic context, because we didn't make something because it was plastic. It wasn't so too interested to us. So not because it's bad, because it's not interesting for us. Nothing more. So. We started doing this kind of experiment, if this is possible, and it was possible. So here you are watching some extrusion of basalt, and they gave us this kind of color. Don't know exactly what is the component that is giving us that kind of green, but here we are using the leftovers of the stone sheet producers. So this also opened a new idea. And here is we started using the volcanic lava for this extrusion. Here is one temperature, and this is too high. But I like the expression that you can see. Here is another experiment where we print in three parts, and then we attach them inside the kiln by temperature. So probably we can print in many parts, and then we can attach them using the temperature. Some claddings for walls, or just simple expression for things. And now you can see what things we are doing with our printer. This is the expression. We are trying to use different grains to get different, of course, results. Basically, is printed totally in cold. Is the same mixture that Tamara used for the coating. And we can get results like this one. We tried here to make a bench, but it didn't work perfect. But appeared this kind of expressions that we can use. This is super important. When Sebastian said that prototyping is important, is super important because you can reintroduce that information we obtained from the prototyping to the cycle, to the design cycle. So one and again. So it's a recursive process, I think.
Also, what seemed to be accidents on the first try might turn out to be generative processes subsequently, like what you were describing with the bad printer, and then that into an intentional distortion that is, of course, generating new forms.
Yep. And here is the first structural thing. Is we did a little bench that is successful, but you can see here the interior, the internal structure didn't reach the melting point. Oh. So it looks like the interior of the volcanoes that has this kind of brown color. Mm. So now we are researching how to finish the piece, basically. And here you will see the compilation of all those pieces in the solo exhibition. We want the Basel that we didn't make it. Another monolith chair. Here we wanted to leave those little drips in order to make more dramatic idea of what is this material. Some fun objects like this side table.
You know, I want to ask you about this one because it seems like it's a little bit of an unusual step for you. It's not so driven by mathematics and the apparent necessity of the process. It's a bit more, I don't know, like a character. But it seems like some of the personality of the studio is coming out here.
Yeah, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it actually looks like you guys, but it has some of your spirit, you know.
Yeah. I think that spirit appears when we have commissions. So it's a good thing because it's a mix of something potential with an idea of that something born. So this is something like that.
Yeah, cool.
And here is an example of the screen, of the big screen. And yes, we love this piece. It's super dramatic, but also we would like also this one because it can go outdoors, and we can create a sculptural element for the landscape, for example. This one is the self-organization project. We did first on a mirror. It's super beautiful, the frame that create, but also here is another tweak because here we find exactly the sintering point in order to have all the little particles micro melted, but not totally melted. So in terms of parametric, we can say that the other important part of the parametric is that you can systematize the knowledge. So that knowledge can be used in other project. That is important thing of parametric for us. And of course, dysgraphia applied in a base, for example, or a super big dysgraphia with a very thick extruder. And that is how it looks as a group. Yeah. First time we saw them all as a group. We are almost there. And many experiments from things we are doing.
They do end up seeming like a family of objects. They talk to one another quite powerfully. Yep. Yeah.
And here's some projects we are doing for public spaces. Here's the giant catcher. It was a commission for us to make a bench in a big park. So how we can create something relevant with a little bench. So we think that we have to catch the giant of the park. So that is why appeared the Gulliver image here. So who is the guy, the giant of the park? And we find him. Is the big mountain over there. So for that we create 2 benches, one for kids and one for adults, and a big window. And using the supple rule, we create the shape, and it created the shape in between. And basically it create an activation point for the park. And you get seat, you catch the giant. So basically it's a beautiful way to make to become our territory in landscape, in something that we can catch. So probably this sculpture will be used for moments, for catching memories, or romantic memories as well. Or just to a beautiful picnic during the Sundays.
I was curious with this project, with this idea of creating a viewing position for the mountain, whether you were thinking about Mesoamerican ancient stone monuments that also organize themselves in relation to the mountains, which are thought to be sacred. Was that something in your mind?
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of, how can I say, it's an architectural idea, I think. We can see also that in Stonehenge, that captures the season periods.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful, actually, that idea, of course, there are those historical samples, but this idea, it came from, Sebastian asked me where I can put this window in my apartment. And appeared that, right?
So it is an architecture idea. Yeah.
Yep. So we received a commission from a collector that he loves totems. And he asked us why if you don't make for me a totem. And we did something that looks like a totem, but it doesn't work like a totem, because it works to look through the piece, not to look at the piece. So basically we create for him an anti-totem. So we create this kind of mirrors, also windows, and we create this object for the 3 different heights. So the 3 components can be moved to catch the views you want. And it works something like this. For example, if you want to catch your skyline or see the building you are going to build in the future, actually that is also anti-totem, because the totem is for the past or for the present. This is for the future. And also you can catch your own collection, or your dad explaining someone about your collection. And this looked like something like that. This is super stopped project because of the COVID, but it's going to finish soon, very soon. So here the components are ready, but now we are creating the fixations. Of course we can catch our things, and it looks something like that.
Is the interior a metallic glaze?
Yeah. In order to have a kind of reflective space that keeps you out from the entire context.
It's fantastic. Great object.
Thank you. Yeah. And to finish our last project.
Last but not least. Huh? Last but not least.
Yeah, exactly. Latest is the word. Yeah. So here you can see also all the things we have been talked and the idea how the process itself express the expression of the piece, how we can use the actions of the process to make the piece alive. Or for example, here you can see the movement of this. Basically, when you swing, the entire structure moves. So it's under the idea of the curatorial team. It's it's a response to the asking of the curatorial team, and before related to the energy you give and the energy you turn back.
Yeah.
So basically, we wanted to reflect about, get conscious about your action, about your actions have a direct impact in your environment. And through these kind of playgrounds, I think it's super easy, quick, and direct to explain to anyone and make the adults become kids. So when you're kids is when you learn fast. So maybe Lucy can help us to show the videos. But yeah. And the piece work like that.
Yeah. And it's actually powered by the action of the swinging.
Exactly.
That's crucial. Yeah, yeah. It's human powered.
Next one. There are more.
And this was actually just completed in Miami, right?
Yeah, it was 2 months of hard work. We worked with an amazing partner called Alt Build. They are located in Atlanta. And it was a perfect, how can I say, teamwork, where Design Miami, where the Miami Design District allow us to make anything. The creators manage all. With the producers, we almost live in Zoom and WhatsApp to make all the prototypes. And to finalize, we find a crazy photographer that catch all the things, that is called Chris Tamburello. I think it's nice to realize that we can work from Chile and make things in the entire world without moving from our space. Yeah. So open us a big opportunity thing here.
So you haven't actually been to Miami to see it then?
You can imagine how we feel.
Yeah, it's amazing to build that from a distance. But what's also interesting is that it has the same idea of curvature and the idea of the sound wave that was in the very first project that we looked at. So it shows that you still are thinking about some of the same issues, same forms.
Yeah, there are some things that we can repeat, but it's nice because they are part of other projects that we remove that variable from there and we create another one.
You know, what's also nice just seeing the videos is that when multiple people use the installation, you get different line. So it becomes like a collective expression of the shape.
Yeah, actually there is, I don't have the video here, but I would like, maybe I can share to you, but during the prototyping time, we were looking for different kind of waves. For example, if we use at the ends of the wings web, for example, we have a super straight, super ordered wave. But here we are using elastics. So here with the elastic, we have a result that is more unpredictable. So we decided to go with this one because it's more unpredictable, and mathematically talking, it creates a perfect interference when one swing works with other in together.
Yeah. And is the installation permanent, or does it have a permanent home yet?
Don't know yet, but they are happy.
I have a nice spot in my house, so you know, if it doesn't work out in my So if it's okay, I think maybe we'll take a couple of questions. Is that all right?
Yep.
That was such a fantastic overview of your talk. I have to say, it was so exciting, and inspiring in so many ways. Just a couple of questions we already have, and please, if you're listening in, go ahead and ask gt2P anything. First, simple question from John Prown of the Chipstone Foundation in Milwaukee. He just wonders if the use of honey as a binder for ceramic processes or stone processes is traditional, or if it's something you just invented.
It's super simple. We use something for cooking.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a tradition. It's something because first thought the easy one was to use resin, right?
Resin, yeah.
Resin.
Yeah.
But the smells and the toxicity was so we started looking for more materials that could work like a binder. So we realized that a kind of melasa we have here at our studio, it works perfect. So
yes, because we need, in that case, we need to attach to the structure, and in the first pieces we use only water to put the
grains,
the lava, and is when you cut, ¿cómo se dice? Es
en español.
Se desarmaba.
Ah, okay. So it didn't attach well with just water.
See.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the reason, because we tried to
find another thing.
yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, very ingenious. Ashwini Bhatt, ceramic artist, frequent viewer from California, has a really important and intense question. Ashwini, are you still with us? Would you like to ask the question directly? Perhaps. If not, I can read it out, of course.
Can you hear me?
We can. Hi, Ashwini.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi, sorry, I'm going for an appointment, so I'm in the car.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This conversation was just beautiful. So I was thrilled to see that you're taking inspiration from Nicanor Parra's work, which made me think of Raul Zurita's poetry as well, who writes about bodies of hundreds of people who disappeared during the Pinochet dictatorship into these volcanoes. So 2 questions. Do you often take inspiration from poetry? And the second one is, do you see your work as an offering or a prayer to the land in the memory of the disappeared people in Chile? Thank you.
It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Actually, Tamara's can I say that?
Yeah.
That was tortured, and it was exiled from Chile. Actually, Tamara born in Nicaragua.
Yes.
Because of that. So it's a big topic, but directly we didn't make it yet. We are trying to, not yet, I can say.
No, probably we have one project. We express the expression of the post-dictadura.
Post-dictatorship.
Yes, it was when we create Tarrugado. Is a base with wrinkles in the middle, and the idea it was a hang.
It was a hang. Yeah.
Yes.
It was like there is a very famous picture when a gangster of the dictatorship hacked a policeman, and that policeman it was the day that the democracy turned back, and that hack was become that guy, that straight guy, in someone that is also like us, that really wants the democracy turned back, even if that guy is a policeman, because they were super bad with us. So I think that is the big approach related to that. But there is another, not political, but related to our, how can I say, to recognize our heritage, that what's called losing my America. Maybe at the end of the presentation, I add 3 images of that. Maybe Lucy can show.
Is this the fire hose installation?
No.
No, it's different from that. Okay. Well, Lucy's.
Yeah, that one, exactly.
Okay. I can show that, Lucy, if that's easier. And while I'm just getting that up, can you also just say a little bit about poetry as a sort of source of inspiration for you?
There is 2 parts of there, because one is the message of related to how you can, for example, in the imaginary man, has how you can transform your territory in a landscape, in something that is from you. So that is one vision, but the other one that is super brilliant I like in many anti-poets, that is the metrics of the poetry, because it has a special sound. It doesn't try to, they are super formally as well, not just content. They are super formally. So there's related to how the things sound. So that is another approach for our studio. Maybe because we have an interest related to the, no, that one.
Not this one.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's the other presentation. It's the 001.
Okay, I'm not sure if I have that, unfortunately.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
We'll have to do that another time, but yeah, please continue.
Yeah, that because, for example, I play music. Sebastian used to make music at his home, and yes, I play drums actually.
Oh.
With Mark, we shared a particular interest for Chick Corea, for example.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't come up.
So yes, I think there is 2 kind of approaches, and also it's interesting because in some sense our geography shape our culture, and our shape is So more than celebrate big issue, no, we would like to celebrate the thing that shape our culture.
Okay. I think we probably should come to an end now, but I just wanted to ask if Tamara, Victor, or Sebastian, do you have anything you would want to add before we stop?
No, just I would like to complete the idea of Guillermo. We used to work with that combination between emotions and numbers, and we move in that range. Just numbers, maybe with just numbers, maybe we will not be happy, but and that's what we finally love. If you see conscious actions, it's an expression. Making numbers, the numbers make shapes, and I guess it's a fluid relation in that sense. Fabrication, digital, analog. We don't feel that there are some borders between those issues. To us, to me, it's really happy to feel that we can move freely between those issues.
For example, one thing we would like to do in the next conscious actions is to create the Monsteric version, where we can produce energy with the movement. So we can say that we are creating energy with the joy.
Okay, well, I think we'll bring it to an end there. It's a wonderful place to end on, this idea of the 2 sides of ourselves as humans, the logical number crunching side and the emotional expressive side, and brought into such beautiful harmony in your work on so many levels. So it's been a really inspiring and wonderful conversation. Let me just say that Chilean Week continues this Friday on Design and Dialogue, because we have Maria Cornejo, who's based in New York, but Chilean fashion designer with the fashion brand Zero. So my co-host Stephen Burks is going to be welcoming her to the program. So we'll look forward to that. And otherwise, let me just thank you again for coming on to Design and Dialogue. It's been great to have you, and great luck with the rest of your projects. I hope you get to see Miami and visit the swing in person and try it out before all this is over.
Okay, thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn, and everyone for coming
Thank you,
here.
Friedman Benda.
Yes.
See you.